Brilliant job, eh? Like you took all my feedback. Done.
I did.
Magically done. Brilliant. So now in this one, right, what I'm actually now doing is just nitpicking because first skim over, it looks really good, right? There's still things in here. And I noticed you pulled it down to one page. But when we're done, I think we might get to 2 pages. So you might have a bit of room to put in, like, no, you've already got personal statement, so that's all right. So we'll see what we can fit in. Right. So because this is a web page, right, I might need to print it out. So let me just show you what happens when you do that. Oh, hang on. There you go, file. If I go print, this is something that you might want to have a look at. So that's what it looks like if I were to print it out, because you don't have a print style sheet. So what you need to do is come up with a print.css style sheet and then embed that into your page. And then when, I think there's a couple of meta tags that need to go on so that when the browser, when you do print from the browser will pick up and it identifies the fact that you've got a print.css style sheet. It then uses that style sheet to render out your CV for print, and then it will just print. So all you need to do basically is just set the margins and things like that. So kind of it all spans right across. So it should be fairly simple, but it's a specific print.css style sheet that you'll need to add for that to come out in a print nicely. And you're only doing that because you've got that as a HTML, a div, right? And then, or I can download it. But if I look at that there and go print, which a lot of people will do, it will print messed up. So you definitely want like a print.css style sheet. All right, cool. So now we've got one page. We've got a bit of room to play with. So your name, your contact details. Yeah, that's all cool. You've got an about me. Yeah, I don't like them, but you got it down to one page, so you can keep it in. That's cool. You moved these projects up here, which is really cool. Yeah, and what I would still do is just include in here, built the main website. Just add in the tech stack, like what you use to build that website, and maintain it. So if there is, like, I don't know how you deploy that website, if you've got something automated set up, or if you're hosting it on Amazon or specific hosting company, then just mention those as well. So built this website using front end stack of XYZ, and I maintain it, and the hosting, which I update every month on whatever hosting platform it is. Same thing with, it's a good investment. So you're currently building that. Work in progress, Netlify. Yeah, so I would say which tech stack you used, and then anything deployment wise that you set up. So you obviously set up that connection with Netlify. So just write a couple of lines in there. So add those keywords in.
Yeah. So I could add more to these project.
Yep.
Areas, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What you want here, absolutely key, are the key skills, the tech stack that you have in here. So if you drop those in, just think of it as if you're doing SEO now at this point. Right? SEO is just keywords, right? So your keywords in this CV are, what did you use? Did you use React?
No, just HTML, CSS, and a bit of JavaScript. Cool. On the Is It a Good Investment website, but on the Stop Holding Back website, it's using Wix, which is not great. But so I'm not sure how to frame that on the CV because it's Wix. No one really cares about Wix, right? it's not really a tech stack, is it? Is it a tech stack in your opinion?
Yeah. What was the reason you use Wix though? Might have been
That
a reason
was,
behind it, right?
yeah, it was easy to launch a website on Wix. And this was before I had started my web development journey, you
Okay.
know?
Yeah.
So I had no skills in terms of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I had none. I was just using Wix, and I just designed it on Wix. And
Yeah.
it's easy for me to
Okay.
get going.
So what you could say then is, right, you could spin it and say, you know, we're up against a time crunch, up against a specific deadline, and we needed to get a website up really quickly, right? So, and we had to determine a very quick. Do you know what an MVP is? Yeah, cool. So you can just say we needed to determine like a very quick MVP. So I created this website in Wix because it enabled me to create a website in like 4 hours. Right, you just say we had
Yeah,
like
yeah,
in it within a day, make some changes and get it approved, so that we could become a charity, in a really tight time crunch, something like that, right? That's
yeah. That's really good. Yeah. Okay, definitely use that. I think it's awesome.
yeah. I mean, there's embellishing the truth a little bit, but at the end of the day, like, you had a time crunch. You needed to get this website
Yeah,
built, right? So you just need to come up with a positive kind of spin around it, and that
yeah,
would work, I guess. So you could use that. You can definitely put that in there and just say, hey, look, I'm used to working in tight time frames.
yeah.
I
I
can
am
pick
for
the right
sure.
tools, get given the right kind of circumstances. Need something really quick. We just had to fire it up with Wix. It's not what I would normally use. I normally code it, but you know, here's what it is.
Yeah,
And then you've got, it's a good investment. So you could put down there exactly what you use, just add those keywords in, and then you're good to go. Cool.
awesome.
Then below, okay, cool. So, all right. Yeah, I see what you've done here. So you've probably got like a little bit of a gap, right? In terms of like, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
it's
because
a, yeah. That's the gap. So, but the gap is the studying. So I
yeah,
had to fill in that almost a year, not quite a year, almost a year gap of not actually having a job, you could say.
yeah, yeah.
Does that make sense to you? Or that's
Yeah,
the best I
totally.
can do, I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, what you could do is just you could cover that, and you kind of similar, like a little bit you do. So it's August 19 to September 2020, and then you've got March 18 to present, and then November 2017 to present with Stop Holding Back, right? So if you think about it, it takes a little bit of thinking, but there really isn't a gap by putting present and present, right? But you're highlighting the
Yeah.
fact that actually from November 2020 to now, I'm studying. Like, I'm studying up on how to be a web dev, right? So you could say, you know, if somebody pulls you up on that and asks you that in an interview, what are you currently doing? I will probably start off with, at the moment I'm running a charity, so a little bit of my time is spent on a charity,
Yeah.
and I'm also uh, crypto trading, right? So I'm spending a bit of my time in crypto trading. I'm working on a charity, and then at the moment as well, I'm spending a large portion of it on self-study and becoming a web developer, right? Because what you don't want to do is just start that give that answer as a I'm not doing anything, I'm looking for a job, right? That's
Yeah.
although you are studying, you don't want to just say, yeah, I'm not doing anything, because
Exactly.
yeah, it
Which is
just
not true anyway. I'm
yeah,
doing quite a
because
few things.
you've got these projects going on, and like for most people, it's not going to be true that you're doing nothing. You're doing, you've got things to do, so you want to just be mindful of what you're doing, and then say those and talk about those first, and then say, also, I'm studying at the moment. I'm self-studying to increase my skills, increase my confidence, and become a web developer and get a really good position as a web developer. in a good company. So that's what I'm up to. And then they'll go, if they're interested, they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Tell me about your self-study. Like, what have you been learning? And then you can go into that a bit more without that stigma of I'm looking for a job, for 6-7 months. It doesn't come across negative in that way. What you've put in there is really good.
Oh, that's
just reading it through. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Now, because I know what you've done a little bit, I know that you've used things that you haven't put in here. So again, just rack your brains and think about things that you've used in this process of building your responsive website. So you've done some testing, right? So drop in browser stack, something like that, and Chrome developer tools and things like that. So really go to town on all the things that you've done and just drop them in here, right? And even if it was the first time that you've ever used browser stack, put it in here, right? A lot of people when they're doing this. Actually, this is an interesting one. I said a lot of people, but I'll break this down. There's a couple of years ago, there's a study that was done, and I don't have it at hand, that kind of did some research on men and women applying to jobs. And what they identified was that if men had, like, the requirements were like 6 things, if men had 2 of those 6, they would apply. If women had, 2 of those 6, they would not apply. They would only apply if they had all 6, right? So you don't need to be an expert at all 6 of those requirements. Like, if you just used, one of those things once, and you, like browser stack, like you signed up, you launched, you set up the account, you gave it a URL, you saw it testing with a bunch of devices, and you used it and fixed your problem. That's a tick, right? That's a tick. I know browser stack. Like, some other people were going, oh yeah, I won't give myself a tick unless, like, I'm an expert and I have an account and I'm using it every day. I know the ins and outs of browser stack. You don't. Like, literally for this purpose, it's like if you've used that thing once and you can answer some basic questions around it, done, tick, right? So put that in there. Google, like, the web developer tools, you optimize your website. So you did that once, right? You Googled all the things that it suggested so you can find solutions, and you got your website from, I can't remember what it was. It was like 70% to
using Lighthouse.
Yeah, Lighthouse. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So you went from 70 odd percent to 99% and got greens, right? You did that once. You've gone through that experience, and you wrote a blog post about it. That's a tick now. So you're done. So when you think of it like that, all of a sudden you've got all these things that you're good at and you can apply for. So, but you've got to make sure that you put those things in here so people can, realize that, okay, cool, you've done this, you've done that. For a web developer role, yeah, he's got all these things. He's on my good to go list.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'm looking at Bene Talk speech tracker. So you developed a database. What kind of database was that?
It was an Excel sheet.
Okay. Tracked and followed up with investors. All right, cool. Generated, because I would maybe say I developed an Excel database, but then they might like, oh, it's an Excel sheet. I'm not really bothered about that. So if you leave it at database, they might ask you about that. So then you can say, yeah, it was an Excel database. If there was anything fun or complicated around that database that you created, then talk about that. Generated. Cool. How did you generate 734 leads?
Just a simple email campaign on Facebook ads. Not Facebook ads. It was Facebook ads, the form. We spent like 100 quid, and it was a bit surprising, but yeah, it was great. It was easy.
Amazing. That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is really good. Okay, cool. And then, so then you've got like the non-developer ones. Cool. Design, deployed, and maintain a fully automated customer using ManyChat. Yeah. Cool. In the chatbot, were there any, because it's a no code tool, right? So you don't need to know code. You can drag and drop to build that chatbot, but you
Yeah.
can add code. So was there any code customizations that you did or any integrations?
We did Google location at the time, which you needed to add code back then.
Yep.
Now you don't. Now you don't. We did calendar integration as well,
Yep.
which I guess that's a little bit of code. Not HTML, CSS, but it's a form of code you have to put in back then. It was more like a special link, but not really, but we did have to think outside the box to
Yeah.
integrate certain specific tools.
Yeah. So what
Then,
I would try and spin that a little bit and just kind of, it's because it's not JS, is it? How is it, JavaScript?
yeah,
Yeah.
a bit
Okay.
of
Cool.
JavaScript. Yeah,
So
so
if
it
it's
was at the time.
JavaScript, then what I would say is like design, deployed, and maintain a fully automated customer engagement chatbot using a no code tool called ManyChat, right? .com. And then you could just say added JavaScript custom code to integrate to a calendar booking system, and like a couple of other things as well, whatever you did. So wherever you do those little bits, it's just you, me as an employer kind of reading up and just building up a picture in my mind what you're like. So all right, so he's got a bit of a grasp of JavaScript. He can customize different things, things that are already built. So you can go in and customize those based on a set of requirements, and you've got the knowledge and the skills to kind of go in and kind of hack around and make something work. Right, that's what you want to demonstrate. So I would add those in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and the rest I think is okay. I mean, it's not much we can add to Network Rail, but that's okay. And then Loughborough Uni, yeah, that's cool. That would be it. So have a go at adding in a bit more detail, and then let's see where you end up. It's probably going to be just over 2 pages. And it might just be shy of 2.5 pages at the top. So you might have a huge, big gap. All right. So to fill the gap, what I would suggest you do is, now you can either put in your hobbies section as well. That will cover it. Or what you can do is references. What I used to do a long time ago. So you know how you've got this heading education? So you just basically copy that block and do references. And then what I would do is just list 2 people and their contact details. So name of the person, job title, and then an email address for them where they can get a reference, like an employer can get a reference and just directly email them if they want to. I don't know if many people use that. I'm not sure. So if you've got a hobby section, so put in a hobby section if you want to, and then just see how that space looks. You want to get it like 2.5 of that top bar and that bottom half of that second page kind of empty. Like if it's 2 1/3, that it's a bit short. You just want to pad it out a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
And that'll be it.
Awesome.
That will be it.
I've learned a few tips today in this session. So yeah.
Yeah, good. I mean, it's
Time
really
to
good.
implement.
Yeah, well, it's good that you've also done the first one already, right? So we've done the first one, got to this one. And then now this, as I said at the beginning, this is just nitpicking because it's almost there, right? Now what this will do is get you through that filter of recruiters when they use, type in things in their system. I've never seen them. I don't know how they use it, but guessing it's just keywords. Yeah. This will now come up for a lot more of those keyword searches, and just include you into that big bunch. And then what they will do is then go through and refine it again. So hopefully you should still end up in that refinement one and get more contacts and get more calls. So that will be your base, right? So that will be set. And then, as I said, for every application that you do, have a look at the job description and just make sure that the requirements that they're asking for, you've weaved into your experience descriptions. So if they're saying, like I said, if they're saying must be able to create pixel perfect layouts, then just make sure that in one of these where you've worked, right? Let's say you've done in your own self-study, let's say, you can just say in there, creating pixel perfect layouts, right? Using HTML, CSS. You just want to create those things, write those things that they've written down so that they see them in your job description, because they've got this mental model of what they wrote in the job advert, and that's all the things that they're looking for in your CV. So they're looking at your CV and going, yeah, pixel perfect, React, boom, 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 boom. Good. Okay. We'll interview this guy.
Yeah. Okay. I've got it.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. You have any questions?
That was awesome. No. What I've learned today has been quite a lot. So I need to implement exactly what you said on this call, basically, and then get back to you. So that's no questions.
Awesome.
It's all been covered.